one of, if not the player of the season. I was so impressed watching your gameplay, but there's only so much they can fit into one episode. If audiences thought you were all gas and no break watching what you did on this show, it's really been in these exit interviews where you get to see how every decision that you made was so calculated and intentional. What was the move you made that you wish they had aired?
I had made a strategic decision to withhold the recruitment letter information to everyone else except for my group of faithfuls. Immediately right after breakfast, I had told them, but I didn't. I don't think it didn't air after that. But I had told everyone else in the castle at some point that I had been recruited, except for Phaedra and with Parvati. I had used that as a kind of a strategic move to when I kind of saw that there was some friction going on and people kind of felt ostracized. So then I tried to use that ability to really share and divulge some really important information. I try to like have a peace offering almost and give that to them to see if we could kind of gain some trust. And I only did that once they had proved to me that I could trust them as well. And so I wanted to make sure we had that mutual trust. So I guess that part would have been nice. Really, most of my other, I think, plays, to be honest, were shown there. But yeah, I would say that one.
You also have such a keen sense of observation and can see things from all perspectives. And there's a point where Sheree lights Phaedra's torch. And to everybody, it just feels like a full circle moment for that friendship that's had its ups and downs. But you saw it as the game taking its toll on Phaedra, which we ultimately see at the end of episode 9 was in fact true. Did you bring that argument up to Sheree ahead of the roundtable that you got banished? Because it feels like such a compelling argument, especially when it came down to just one vote.
Yeah, I guess that's another one. Yeah, I did at the round table ceremony that I got banished at. I had brought that up. I made a statement to everyone that I thought that was just the toll of being a traitor, finally catching up to Phaedra, and obviously they've been really good friends for a long time. So Sheree showing that beautiful gesture of love towards Phaedra really, I think, hit her. At least this is what I saw. This is the emotion I saw. And Phaedra knew that she was going to have to turn on her really good friend at some point in the game. I guess another thing to add, before that, I had been on to Phaedra. They didn't show this, but there was another thing that had kind of given me a tip off about it. It was a comment. It was a bloodhound comment that Parvati loved to call me a bloodhound. And she'd call me that, but she'd only call it to me like by myself. So there was one day, it was the first time she ever called me a bloodhound. And then the very next day, I remember I was having a conversation with Phaedra, and Phaedra was a one-on-one conversation. She also referred to me as the bloodhound. And to me, I thought that was like a Freudian slip where I was like, I feel like you two have probably been talking about that together in the turret and you don't even realize it. Parvati just told me that yesterday. But that had happened before the torch ceremony. So I had all these kind of, and then as well as, I guess they didn't show, when Dan had kind of thrown Phaedra, under the bus for being a traitor, I, at that roundtable ceremony, I remember telling Phaedra, and it was kind of awkward. I'm like, Phaedra, this is really awkward. I'm sorry, but I think that Dan just told us that you were a traitor. So I had all these things kind of, stacked up in my mind of like compelling kind of evidence. And with the torch, that was kind of like the third and final one. And I'm like, yeah, it just makes sense that this emotion is showing her kind of like it's taken a toll.
Yeah, you brought so much logic to the reasons why you couldn't be a traitor. I didn't think your end game would have been a banishment. Speaking of seeing things from all perspectives, you were also recruited by the Traitors, which you ultimately turned down. I think for a lot of people, they question that decision, but you talked about how that would have been such an easy move for Phaedra and Parvati to immediately turn on you and get you banished. How much time did you ultimately have to make that decision? Or was there ever a point where you turned to Phaedra or Parvati and hinted that you'd be open to a recruitment further down the line? And did you ever find out that was their intention?
No, I never. I mean, I kind of did. I was having fun with them a little bit, and like it was just honestly, that was just purely just enjoying the game. And I was having a little bit of fun with them, like kind of teasing, like guys, like we had like a couple moments, like where it was just the three of us, like in the armory, and I was like hinting at them. I was just trying to like kind of maybe try to break them down a little bit and just fluster them a little bit to see if I could have that benefit us later on in the game. But I just specifically didn't say like, listen, guys, I'd love another recruitment, like down the line, I would do it. But like you said, the biggest reason it was just, and I struggle with it because it would have been so much fun to be a traitor. I would have loved to, but the main was I just couldn't turn at that point on my team. But I also thought it was just too obvious. I was too obvious of the pick to be the recruitment. And, the next morning it would have been revealed there was no murder. So someone got recruited. So I just thought it was just all the signs were going to point to, well, Peter is the one that's pointing everyone out. Of course, they're going to recruit him. And it was just a good route for then Parvati and Phaedra to take to then throw me under the bus the very next day, or try to start that momentum going. And then if they would have, if I would have been banished and I was a traitor, if Parvati's still in the game, her and
Yeah.
Phaedra are both winning, in my opinion. Yeah, so there's a bunch of things that kind of went into that. I did think, though, that if Phaedra would have recruited me a second time, and I did think there was a chance for a second recruitment, even though I didn't specifically ask them. I thought that once she gave me the ultimatum, I would have had to have said yes at that point. Then I think she's able to throw me under the very next day. She cruises to victory because now she gets all the credibility, and all suspicion would have been off her. But, that didn't happen that way. And, it is what it is.
There's also so many different layers to this game, and fundamentally there has to be one traitor at the end, and you sussed out all three of them really early on in the game. Was there ever a point in time when you turned to your group and said, maybe we should start getting rid of the faithfuls and lower kind of your own threat level?
Great point. And that's where the whole play with switching from, and I know it was a little too quick. The game, the way it's played, it's just happened too quick. But switching from trying to get Parvati out to Phaedra, that was our intent. Our intent was, guys, and we didn't really realize it, I guess, until halfway through. But it's like, if you just keep getting rid of the traitors, at some point that actually it hurts your chances, because now you just have to restart the whole process of figuring out who's the next recruit all over again. So once we kind of realized that, and Trishelle brought the point up and it made so much sense, I was like, okay, let's try to befriend Parvati. Let's see somehow if we can convince her that we really think she's a faithful and have her keep us till the end, not try to get rid of her friends in the castle. And then at the end, we would turn on Parvati. But so we did try to go that route. I think it may have been too little too late, a little rushed. But for future seasons, and again, this game is so complex. It's so dynamic, right? You can go a million different routes, but I think it's some good strategy for possible players going into the next season is, maybe you got to kind of sacrifice some of your own to get to the end, just to improve your chances.
Perfect segue to this next question. But I think what's so exciting about this game is it's ever evolving. One of the biggest changes that they made this season was having an entire cast of alumni from other shows. If you could change one thing for season 3, having played this game, what would it be and why?
I would change the selection of traitors. I would have it be a random generator, like just a randomizer. So nobody would have any ability to have any targets on their back from the beginning. You go in and immediately you start thinking, okay, who's the most likely choice for a traitor? And you can't help but think that. So who has this kind of personality or this? And so it may put some targets on other people's backs unfairly. If you do a random generator, no one's a suspect in the beginning. And now it's truly, okay, now we got to figure out from this point forward who is being sketchy, who has potential to be a traitor, and why.
Yeah. You're made for these types of games. That's such a great point. I think one change that I would love to see in season 3 is the ability to give a shield to somebody else after you've claimed it. I got one final question for you. I think you're such a
That's good.
strong, yeah, I think you're such a strong candidate. If they were going to bring somebody back for season 3, would you be open to playing again? And would you bring a new strategy given the opportunity?
Oh, hell yeah. 100%. I had the time of my life playing. So grateful for it. Anything else getting to be a part of it? 100%. In regards to strategy, yeah, I'm 100% not going to reveal anything right here that can, be on the internet. But for sure, again, this whole game is about adapting, and I learned so much from this gameplay. It'd be really cool to go with a little bit more experience now and having just a game show in general under my belt. I would definitely be able to play it a little different.
I think if they're looking for the person who played the most strategic game for season 3, it's you. If they're looking for one-liners, they're going to pull Phaedra. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
she kills it at that. Yeah, for sure.